Hi guys, Melissa here. Hope everything is going great with you guys and that you've been enjoying your holiday season. This is just a short little video today with some tips based on recent experience when it comes to how to bake with kids. Now, when my kids were younger, I actually found it really hard to bake with them because they were constantly fighting when I had all 5 of them in there over who got to do what. You know, it's like, wait, he just already got to stir, and he already got to pour the sugar in, and he already poured the vanilla in, and they'd all be standing there sort of vying for their piece of the action, and it was very hard to keep track of the whole thing. And just to make matters worse, you know, I would sometimes forget what I had put in the bowl. Like I couldn't remember, had I put in the baking soda, had I put in the vanilla, and it would get very, very confusing. And I had a couple fiascos where I totally messed up on my recipe quantity. And I decided this just isn't going to work. So with 5, eager bakers, and for some reason these same eager bakers are not ever very eager when it comes to the cleanup, and I'm sure you guys have dealt with the same thing. I've actually sort of learned how to make baking work in my house. And here's really what I try to do. It doesn't always work, but here are some tips when it comes to how to bake with kids. Number 1, if possible, I try to bake with just one kid. Give each kid their thing. Let them make these cookies. Let the next kid help you with that cake, rather than have this cycle where you're trying to balance what everybody else gets to do. With the really little ones, I, pour the sugar in the cup. I don't have them dumping the sugar into the measuring cup or dumping the flour in. I pour it in, and then with them, I sort of hoist it over the bowl and let them put it in there. And then I let them do a lot of the mixing, and that leads me to tip number 2. When it comes to mixing, if the kids are small, just let them mix on the floor. Put the bowl on the floor and tell them slow, slow, slow. Don't let it go over the sides. Tell them slow and let them mix on the floor. Because if they're little and they're mixing on your kitchen countertop, there's a high likelihood that bowl is going to fall onto the floor, and then you'll be really bummed out, because there's nothing harder than cleaning up flour. And I'm sure you guys agree. Okay. Tip number 3 is to really try to find things that give them opportunities for creativity. One thing we recently did was make these Swedish butter cookies called drömmar, which everybody adores. And they're usually just made as a ball. You roll them as a ball and you stick an almond on top and you're done. But Beckett started making his sheet. Oh, and that's another thing. If you have 4 kids or 5 kids or 2 kids or more than 1 kid, and you do want to do the same thing with them, at least make the batter, then give everybody their dough, or have them share the bowl of dough in the middle, and give them their own cookie sheet where they can just sort of have ownership and do their own thing. Okay. So when we were making these butter cookies, Beckett's like, well, I don't want to make a ball. I want to make shapes, and I want to make different animals. And he started to make these cool shapes. He's like, can I make a hexagon? Can I make a rectangle? Can I make an orangutan? Or I don't even know what. And he basically started making all these cool shapes. And first, the traditionalist in me was like, wait, that's not how you make that cookie. But then I realized it really doesn't matter at all. And he made these adorable things, and he had so much fun. And then when we're all eating the cookies, he can be like, oh, that's the cookie I made, which, was a lot of fun. And here's the final thing, which I'm sure you guys have done, and it's a winner for me. I just let them make things often where they can leave their initials on it somehow. Like if you're making a cake or a thing of brownies, I let them do their initial and chocolate chips on the top. Or if they're making cookies, gingerbread cookies, I let them do their initial, their H, their L. Often these end up breaking anyway, but they just love that feeling, and it really gives them a sense of ownership. Above all, make sure you're super safe with your baking. Keep your kids away from the burners, keep them away from the ovens, and make sure they're just involved in things where there's no risk of them hurting themselves, which would be a terrible thing. So anyway, those are just some tips when it comes to baking with kids. I really want to hear what you guys have to say, because I love to bake and I love to eat what I bake. So please weigh in below. Thanks so much for watching this video, and hope you guys are having an amazing holiday season.